I think we all face this, this fundamental question. How do you find any kind of spiritual peace when you're still dealing with your job, your family, all the demands of the world?
It's the central tension, isn't it?
Yeah, do you find freedom by just walking away from everything, or is it about staying right where you are but doing things differently?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at the Bhagavad Gita's final chapter,
Yeah.
chapter 18, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. It's basically the ultimate instruction manual.
And our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward. We want to pull out the core insights on how to live, how to act without getting spiritually tangled up.
We're going to define these two crucial terms, renunciation and abandonment, and really get into the mechanics of action itself.
And maybe the most fascinating part, show you how these three fundamental qualities of nature, the gunas, they categorize literally everything: your knowledge, your actions, even your happiness.
Right. And you have to remember the context. This is Krishna's grand summary for Arjuna. After 17 chapters, Arjuna is still struggling with this fear of consequences, the karma phala.
He's stuck.
He's stuck. So he asks this very specific philosophical question. What exactly is the difference between sannyasa and tyaga?
Okay, let's break that down right away because most people, I think, use those terms, renunciation and abandonment, almost interchangeably. But the Gita draws a really sharp line.
A very sharp line. Sannyasa, which is renunciation, is, well, it's the heavy-duty path. Traditionally, it means completely leaving the material world, severing your connection to it through deep discrimination or vivek.
So is that like literally heading for a cave? Or is it just a state of mind, an internal thing?
It starts as a state of mind, but historically, a true sannyasi often made that physical choice. But the other term, tyaga, abandonment, that's so much more practical for, for
Like
us.
daily life.
For daily life. It's defined specifically as giving up your attachment to the fruits of your action, the karma phala. You still do the work, you just let go of what you want to happen.
That's immediately useful. But before Krishna gives his own final word, he actually surveys the philosophical landscape at the time. He lays out 4 different views.
Yeah, he does. The first view was that you should abandon kamya karma, any action that's just driven by your own personal desires, like performing a ritual just to get rich.
Right, purely self-serving actions.
Precisely. The second view said, no, you have to abandon the fruits of all actions. A bit stricter.
And the third one was even more extreme.
Oh yeah, those were the hardliners. They argued that all action has some flaw like fire always has smoke, so you should just abandon all action entirely.
Which is not helpful for Arjuna on a battlefield.
Not at all. It's a recipe for paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
But then comes the fourth view, which Krishna really builds on, and that is that yajna, sacrifice, dana, charity, and tapas, austerity, these must never be abandoned.
Right.
Because they're seen as compulsory duties. They're what purifies the intellect.
So after laying all that out, what's Krishna's final supreme verdict for someone listening right now, trying to figure this out?
His verdict is a synthesis. It's all about acting in the world. He says, yes, you must perform your duties, your yajna, dana, and tapas. But you do it while abandoning 2 key things.
Which are?
First, asakti, which is attachment to the act itself.
Mm-hmm.
And second, phala tyaga, expectation of the result. The duty is sacred. The result is not your business.
That's such a powerful mental shift. You can be completely engaged in your life, but if you do it without that clinging attachment, you're practicing a form of renunciation.
Absolutely. And to really drive this home, he then breaks down tyaga, abandonment, into 3 types based on the gunas. And this part it's so revealing.
It explains where just quitting something difficult almost never works.
Exactly. First, you have to understand nayat karma, which are your prescribed duties to your family, to society. These are non-negotiables.
So abandoning those is the first mistake.
And if you abandon them because of delusion or ignorance, that's kamasic abandonment. You're doing it for the wrong reason based on a misunderstanding.
Then you have the one we see everywhere, especially at work, rajasic abandonment.
Oh, this is the classic rage quit. You abandon a duty because it feels painful, it's difficult, dukkha rupa, it's a fear of the strain, the klesh. You just want comfort.
So the motivation is selfish. It's about escaping discomfort.
And because of that, you don't get the peace of true renunciation. You just trade one kind of restlessness for another.
Which leaves only one path that actually works: sattvic abandonment.
This is the ideal. You perform your prescribed duty simply because it's your obligation, your kartavya, and you do it while totally abandoning attachment and results. It's a quiet internal sacrifice. That's the real thing.
Okay, so that sets up the how. But then the Gita tackles the why. It addresses this huge mental block, the idea that I am the one doing this, the ego of being the karta.
Yes, and this is so critical. Realizing you are not the sole doer is what dissolves the ego. Krishna says it's foolish to think you're in complete control because every single action requires 5 factors to happen.
Let's walk through those 5 because this really changes your perspective.
Okay, so first you need the adhisthana. That's the body, the physical base of action. Second is the karta, the doer. That's the soul bound by the ego saying, I did it.
A sense of self.
Right. Third is karta, the instruments, your 10 senses, plus the mind, intellect, and ego.
Okay, body, ego, senses. Makes sense. What are the last 2?
Fourth is cheshta. That's the actual effort, the action itself, the movement, the breathing, the exertion.
And the 5th one, Daiva, this seems like the real kicker.
It is. It's the most complex. It's sometimes translated as the divine or fate, but a really useful way to see it is as your accumulated past sanskaras.
So like the imprints of all your past actions and experiences.
Exactly. It's the programming that influences your choices right now. So when you act, you're not acting in a vacuum. You're just one of 5 causes. The pure soul is only one factor.
And if you realize that, if your intellect is unattached to the outcome,
Then you're not bound by the karma of the act, even if that act is violent, like a soldier on a battlefield. If there's no I am the doer ego, there's no spiritual stain. The intent is what matters, not the result itself.
that distinction is it's everything for a modern listener. The outcome has 5 owners. Your intention only has 1.
Precisely. Which sets the stage perfectly for the final section, where we see how our entire reality, what we know, how we think, what makes us happy, is colored by these 3 gunas.
Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Let's start with knowledge, Janana.
Okay, sattvic knowledge is unity. It's the wisdom that sees one single, indestructible essence in all beings. It looks past all the surface stuff.
Whereas Rajasic knowledge is what most of us experience day to day.
I think so, yeah. It's knowledge based on division. It sees everyone and everything as separate, different, defined by their labels, and that, of course, leads directly to attraction and aversion.
Us and them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have tamasic knowledge, which is just pure delusion. It clings to one tiny thing, like the body or a rigid idea, as if it were the whole universe. It's irrational and small-minded.
Okay, so from knowledge to intellect, Booty, a sattvic intellect must be the goal.
It's pure clarity. It knows the right path of action and the right path of non-action. It can distinguish duty from non-duty, fear from fearlessness, bondage from liberation. It just sees things as they are.
But a Rajasic Booty can't do that.
No, it's clouded by bias. It can't tell right from wrong because it's always being distorted by selfishness and personal desire.
And then the Tamasic Booty is completely backwards.
Totally reversed. It's enveloped in darkness. It takes what is wrong at Dharma and believes it to be right Dharma. It sees everything incorrectly. It's delusion leading to self-destruction.
Which brings us to happiness, Sukha. And these analogies are so powerful. Let's start with the hard one, Sattvic Sukha.
Right. Sattvic happiness is the joy you get from long-term discipline. The key is it starts like poison, but it ends like nectar.
Like learning an instrument or training for a marathon, it's agony at first.
Pure agony. But the satisfaction, the clarity, the peace that comes from that effort, that's the nectar, and it lasts.
Contrast that with Rajasic Sukha.
The opposite. Rajasic happiness is instant gratification. It comes from the senses hitting their objects. It starts out like nectar, but it ends like poison.
The sugar rush, the impulse buy.
All of it. It feels great for a moment, but it leads to addiction, attachment, and ultimately deep dissatisfaction.
And finally, Tamasic Sukha.
That's the happiness of inertia. It comes from sleep, laziness, carelessness. It feels like peace, but it's really just delusion. It confuses you at the beginning and it confuses you at the end. It's stagnation.
The big lesson there is be very suspicious of what feels good immediately.
It's a good rule of thumb.
So all of this, the gunas, the nature of action, it all leads back to our specific duty in the world, our swadharma.
Yes. The gunas define our natural aptitude, our swabhava, and that aptitude points to the work that is right for us. The text lays out the 4 traditional roles.
The Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But in a modern sense, we're really just talking about natural temperaments. The teacher, the leader, the creator, the supporter.
Exactly. And the most crucial point is this. Perfection is achieved by dedicating yourself to your own natural duty. Even if it seems flawed, you don't abandon your path for someone else's just because it looks better.
So how does doing my job, my swadharma, become an act of worship?
By doing it without ego and without attachment. When you do that, your work becomes an offering to the divine source of everything. That's the bridge.
Which brings us to the final, most secret instruction. The one that offers another way. The path of Sharanagati. Surrender.
This is Krishna's final, most merciful promise. After all the complex philosophy, he says, look, abandon all other external duties, all other self-made paths. Just come to me for refuge.
So it's a shift from pure self-effort to faith.
It's total faith.
Okay.
And the promise is absolute. The divine will free you from all sins, all bonds. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to surrender the results of your actions to that higher power.
So if we pull it all together, the core takeaway for someone listening is that true freedom isn't running away. That's just rajasic or tamasic.
Right. True freedom is found by doing your essential natural work with total non-attachment and dedication. It's sattvic tyaga.
And that's why Krishna ends by putting the choice entirely back on Arjuna. He says, I've told you everything, now reflect on it and do as you wish.
The choice is always there. Duty driven by ego or duty surrendered to a higher purpose.
The Gita's final verse from Sanjaya just sums it up so beautifully. He says that wherever Krishna, the master of yoga representing wisdom and consciousness,
And Arjuna, the wielder of the bow, representing the active, skillful person, wherever they are together, there will be victory, prosperity, and unwavering justice.
which leaves us with the final thought to reflect on. What does it mean for you to bring that your own inner wisdom and that active agent, your own natural talents together in your life right now?
Because that combination, that convergence of wisdom and disciplined action, that is the guarantee of victory in everything you do.